It's not something you can set and go. It's something you have to check every single day, your mindset, the mindset of your team, and make sure that everybody's in the right frame of mind as we're making phone calls, as we're talking with clients, as we're talking with potential clients, that we have that positive mindset that they are going to come in for an amazing experience and their lives will be changed by the photography experience we create for them.
Hey, Difference Makers, welcome back to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. And on this episode, we are joined by Ronan and Jeanine McLeod. And myself, of course, obviously, Jonathan Ryle. So, today we are going to be discussing a topic that is near and dear to my heart because it's something that a lot of, not only photographers, but businesses everywhere don't fully understand. And we hear a lot in the photography industry, in forums, this big wish that I want more qualified bookings, I want more qualified leads, I want more quality clients. So how do we do that?
Well, I think certainly we're in Difference Maker Revolution, Jonathan. The first thing is that we don't even use the word leads anymore. We call anybody who's interested a potential client, right? Because, as we know, even thinking sometimes, we see our members when we talk about leads that they adopt this mindset of they burn through their leads rather than have quality conversations with a potential client. And that when we call them a potential client, that the number of quality bookings they get seems to go up. Imagine that. Down to mindset, Jeanine, eh?
It is down to mindset. It's amazing.
And I think you've seen that in your business, Jeanine, too, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's not something you can set and go. It's something you have to check every single day, your mindset, the mindset of your team, and make sure that everybody's in the right frame of mind as we're making phone calls, as we're talking with clients, as we're talking with potential clients, that we have that positive mindset that they are going to come in for an amazing experience and their lives will be changed by the photography experience we create for them. And if you don't start your day thinking, how am I going to change someone's life today? And what clients are we going to bring added joy to? And whose baby are we going to celebrate their first birthday with? What grandparents are we going to make? If you don't have all those checks, then you end up just picking up the phone. Hey, Ronan, you filled out a form today. And, I was trying to give you a phone call to find out if I can answer any questions for you, And trust me, I've heard people make phone calls like that, as opposed to, Ronan, oh my gosh, it's so good to talk to you today. I know that you filled out our form and I can't wait to get you some information. Like that whole change in your tone is your mindset and what you're looking for in your day and for your business.
So on this subject, I think there's kind of like three different steps or ways of having quality clients in your business. But for me, it's not possible to attract quality clients. And we know the phrase that Steve has, great clients are made, not found, and we'll get to that. But let's take, before you have a quality client, you have to go a step backwards, because first you need to attract potential clients, like you guys have said, right? And a lot of photographers talk about, attracting qualified leads and qualified or quality leads. And I need higher quality leads. But for me, there is no such thing as a qualified lead. There's no such thing as a quality lead. There's only a potential client that is more aware or less aware. And there's different levels of awareness, right?
I'm saying, and some shades in between.
Yes.
But yes. It's a scale of awareness, essentially, is what you're saying.
Yeah, a scale of awareness, because, well, I mean, the goal of your marketing and your advertising and any marketing that you do, even to existing clients, is basically to get them to raise their hands and say, yes, I'm interested in this, right? So that you can have a conversation, because great clients are made, not found, as Steve says, and they're made on the discovery call, but we'll come back to that. But talk to us about the levels of awareness. what are these levels of awareness? How many are there, first of all?
Well, we have 5 levels of awareness within our framework, Jonathan. So we go from not aware to problem aware to solution aware to educated to loyal. And, it's important as a business to have some understanding as to how aware the client is about us, how much they know, like, and trust us, depending on where that potential client is coming from, while at the same time, never assuming that regardless of where they come from, that they're qualified.
Yes. Even if they're your existing clients, and I think oftentimes we make that mistake and we don't make our existing clients feel as special and take them through a full experience because they're like, they already know it. And then your existing clients miss out.
I think that a lot of people are looking for price qualified people. So they only want to speak to people who already know the price, who already are financially invested in buying whatever they have to sell, right? And that's impossible. It's just not possible until you have a conversation. Like, you're looking for a miracle. You have a better chance of winning the lottery probably than you marketing and advertising to price qualified people, because they just don't exist. It's not possible until you have a conversation. As you said, Jeanine, even for your existing clients, yes, they'll be more aware, but for their next experience, they're not going to be price qualified till you have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this always comes back to, I think, and it's not just photographers, I think business folks in general that are not trained salespeople are trained they're afraid of the phone. They're afraid of the conversations. They think it would be just so much easier if people called them wanting to book and already wanting to spend thousands of dollars, and they didn't have to do anything but pick up their camera, create pretty pictures, and then the people just buy it. That would be a dream. Wouldn't that be awesome? Oh my God. But that's just not reality. It's just not reality. And so we have to treat this like a business. It is a business. And in all businesses, you have to market. You have to have conversations. You have to take people on a journey. So in the end, they give you money.
If I could do that, Jeanine, I'd be the richest man on the
planet.
Right?
Wouldn't it be fantastic?
And we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah.
So 5 stages of awareness. Let's start with the stage 1, if we call it that. So
that's your favorite stage, John, and you should take it.
Okay, I'll take stage 1. So stage 1 is when you have a potential client, which many people call leads, that are not aware. Okay, so when they're not aware, it means that they don't know you exist. And as an example of a form of marketing that you can run in your business to potential clients that are not aware, one form is Facebook ads. So when you run a Facebook ad, you are typically advertising to people who are in the stage 1 not aware. They don't even know you exist. They don't even know that they have a problem that you can solve. They have no idea, right? And in this stage, I guess it's important to note that just because they're not aware and they're the least educated and have the least exposure, it does not mean that that person does not have the potential to be an amazing client who spends thousands and comes back over and over again and becomes a VIP client and refers people and builds alliances. It does not mean that. It just means that this person, for you, is typically going to require you to have better conversations and discovery calls to help them become a great client.
And maybe more than one. It might take more than one.
Yeah.
It typically does.
Yep.
Typically does take more than one.
That's stage 1. That's the not aware stage. So,
but before you go off this stage, so Jono, I think it's important to explain to people that today, in today's business, right? And we're going to talk about the other 4 stages too, which is problem aware, solution aware, educated, and loyal. But today, without having a marketing strategy and a mindset to have a not aware strategy like Facebook ads, right? It's rare we see a business without that being consistently busy, right? Because if you think back to the 1960s and 70s and 80s and possibly the 90s, right? There used to be this idea that in retail, right, that location was key. That, where you positioned your studio in a retail mall or as part of a mall or where there's footfall, I think was the saying we used to say. You were going to be busier and you picked the location based on the footfall. This is exactly the same thing, except we're using Facebook instead of footfall, right? Our footfall is now Facebook, often called traffic, right? But it's the same thing. It's the same thing in that we're showing a potential client an offering to say, would you like to know more? Well, walk into our store and let's have a conversation to see what I can do for you. That's what we're doing. But often that's not seen. And it's important to understand that the business of sales and marketing has not changed. It's just some of the platforms we now use are different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've seen so many people who understand this and do this, Jeanine, right?
Yep.
Who no longer have to pay sky-high rents
right.
to be in a footfall place in retail, right? Because we can use this not aware strategy now using Facebook.
No, it's a really good point, Ronan. I'm glad you brought it up because it is the same thing. And your business strategies never change over time. The way the mode of implementing changes, and right now it's changing very fast. And it's going to continue to change very fast. I actually had this conversation yesterday with one of our members about how it must have been nice. You brought up the 60s and 70s, right? I'm like, it must have been nice back in the day where you got your listings in the yellow pages and that's all you had to do. And it lasted for 20 years and you never had to change. Now, our methods, our means of delivery is changing constantly, which is why we're always on top of it. And we're always doing the research and we're always working with our members to make sure that we stay on top of this because you can't fall behind. If you fall behind, I don't have words. You can't fall behind.
Well, you can't have a sustainable business, right? And you certainly can't complain about nobody loves my work. Nobody loves me. Nobody respects. Nobody values my art. And you know what? If that's what you think, you're right. And nobody will.
And nobody will.
Okay. So that's kind of the not aware stage. So stage 1. So stage 2 then is problem aware. What does this mean?
So problem aware is when someone feels something is missing, right? So they know that they need something, but they're not sure as to what the solution is to it. So an example for this for me is that if somebody loves their fur baby and wants to celebrate that experience, right? They may decide to go to an exhibition that's designed for fur baby mum and dads, right? So I'm aware that I want more to celebrate my relationship with my fur baby, but I'm not sure what that is, right? So I'm aware I have a problem, but I don't know what the solution to that problem is. So I decide, I see this exhibition that's going to be on for mum and dads of fur babies. I say, I'm going to go there. I might find what I'm looking for there. So that's problem aware. So and I think it's important to point out, Jonathan, that when we're talking about, an example for each of these stages, it doesn't mean that each of these stages you can't go through the whole process, right? But we're just giving some examples of an exhibition in this case where someone is problem aware. When they go to the exhibition, right, they can become solution aware, right? And they go to the exhibition, they become educated. They have a conversation with you, right? And they can become the first step in becoming a loyal client by actually making a booking, right? So, but we're just giving you an example here. We've taken specific examples, not to say that that somebody who you meet at that, right, that you can't guide them through each of the other steps, right?
Yeah, and they're fluid because technically, like, someone who sees your Facebook ad could be problem aware, they could be solution aware, right? In theory. But what we're saying is for the vast majority of people, for these examples that we're giving are probably at that stage of awareness. And I think, when we covered this with the Inner Circle members on Wednesday and we went through this training in depth, Jeanine was talking about another example of problem aware would be like an auction, right? So they're just examples. We're not saying that this is the only marketing method available to you for this stage of awareness. So Ronan, lead us on to stage 3, which is solution aware. So what are solution aware people? Where are they in this journey of awareness?
This is one of my favorite ones to talk about, Jonathan, because often I see that people who train with us on Facebook ads don't understand the difference between these, right? So solution aware people are people who something else has made them aware that they have a problem, right? And therefore they're searching for the solution. So typically this is somebody who does a Google search for something. So let's just take an example, Jonathan. So let's just say I'm a wedding photographer, right? Many, many, many brides and grooms who are getting married believe they need a photographer. And let's just say that I'm located in Tampa. So if I'm about to get married at some stage in the future, I've got engaged, one of the things I'm likely to do is go and search wedding photographers in Tampa on Google, right? So the fact that most people getting married book a wedding photographer, that's what has triggered this actively looking for a solution to my problem, which is I need a wedding photographer. Yeah. So that's what a solution aware inquiry is. So when somebody, and all of our members who've trained with us know this, right? That when somebody is searching on Google in that example, Google will give, many, many suggestions. There's probably going to be 3 or 4 on the first page, right? And that person has already probably visited at least 3 or 4 websites before they may make their inquiry with you, right? And what they're doing is they're building their knowledge as to what the possible solutions to my problem are. And then they're making a short list of who do they want to reach out to. And in our training, Jonathan, like we have spent a lot of time helping photographers that when they have people visiting their website at that stage, right, when they're looking for a solution, as to how to get their interest and make sure they have their contact details. But we're not talking about that today, but I just wanted to point that out. In the Inner Circle, we help all of our clients with all of this, right, to maximize the number of potential clients that we get. But that's an example, Jonathan, of solution aware.
Okay, so we've had not aware, problem aware, solution aware. And this is like, as you have conversations, discovery calls with potential clients, they're moving through these phases of awareness. But stage 4 is educated. Talk to us about educated, the educated stage of awareness. What are potential clients who are educated? Like, what's this about?
I love how you do that, educated, because, and it is good to put it in little quotes like that, because they might be educated, but they might not be educated correctly, right? So you still can't just assume that they know everything about you. But educated in the awareness scheme of things is those potential clients who come from your alliances, who come from referrals, and potentially a website inquiry. So let's give some examples here. So as a studio owner, it is imperative that I align myself with other like-minded businesses who service the same client avatar, right? Because together in our town, we can work together to cross-market, to promote each other, to run promotional offers for each other, to co-host events. Essentially, basically, I am using their client list to market to, and they're using mine, right? And we align each other. We're aligned. We're alliances so that we can, the rising tides rides all ships, right? So we're rising our businesses together. So when I do something with an alliance and they're giving a gift certificate to my studio, or I have a register to win sign at their office, or they do a mailing on behalf of me, or like there's many ways that you can structure your alliances. You would think that then so say Jonathan, my alliance is with you have now referred a client to me. That person is more educated as to who I am. They're being referred from a trusted source. They're being referred from a business that they love. Supposedly, that business will have told them about me, like, oh my gosh, you need to go see Cloud9 Studios. They are going to be the perfect photography studio to take, blah, 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 right? They're going to give them some awareness of who we are. Same thing with a referral. Jonathan, I photographed your baby's first birthday, which would be a miracle because you have no children. But I photographed your baby's first birthday. And then guess what? You're in a circle where you're in a play group and all of your friends have kids that are about to turn 1 as well. And you're like, oh my gosh, Jeanine and her team were amazing. You need to go and have your baby's first birthday done there as well, right? So those moms call us. They're coming in as referrals from you. So they're a bit more aware. They're more educated as to who we are, what we provide. But guess what? We still have to have conversations with them. They may know, like, and trust us a little bit more, well, a lot more than a cold lead would or a cold potential client would from Facebook because someone they trust has referred them to us. But you cannot make the mistake of assuming that Jonathan went through all of the pricing and exactly what he bought and exactly what he paid for. A lot of people don't like to share those details. Jonathan might not want his friends to know he spent $2,500 on first birthday portraits and be judged by his friend negatively or positively, right? So he must just say, go use Jeanine. She'll take care of you, right? So while you have the know, like, and trust factor added in because they're coming from a trusted source, you need to still do the full discovery process with them. You need to find out what's important to them, how we can make a difference in their lives, and go and price qualify them. You have to do that. Nobody else ever is going to do this for you. And I don't know how many times we can say it, but no one is going to do this for you. It doesn't matter which scale of awareness they come in on. It is your job to do this part of the process.
We have to repeat that.
We do.
Nobody is price qualified until you price qualify them. Nobody. And the other thing is, just because they're more educated does not make them a higher quality lead or potential client.
And I want to add this in. I don't know if this is the right spot or we should do it like at the end, but I'm going to just do it here anyways because it's on my mind and I don't want to forget it. I sometimes hesitate with the word price qualify as well because I often think that so many times I've seen our members and I've seen other photographers, well, I could tell on the phone they're not going to spend $2,000, so I'm not going to book them. They're not qualified to come into my studio and take my time, And that's my best posh voice. I'm not really good at it. But that mentality of I'm not going to waste my time photographing somebody who won't spend thousands of dollars. I hate that. I really do. And I know hate's a strong word, but I just, we're in the business of creating priceless pieces of art of people's families for them, right? And no matter how educated they are coming to us first, sometimes until they come in for their experience, they don't know how much money they're going to spend. They've never done this with you before. So on the phone, if they're like, you know what, Ronan, I can only spend the bare minimum. I can only spend $500 in your studio. Okay, come. Let me love on you. Let me create this amazing experience for you and your children. Come on in. You only spend $500, that's fine. You still got an amazing experience for $500. Maybe next time when you come in, you'll spend more. But you've come in, you've had this amazing experience. And if you love on those people the same way, they will refer you and they will do your Google. They will talk about you, right? And they will refer you and they will promote you. If you turn people away because they don't, I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's just, you just never know. They could come in then, and now that they've fallen in love with the experience, they've fallen in love with the portraits, they want to spend more. You just don't know. And so to price qualify, I just don't even like that word sometimes. Clearly you do have to let them know this isn't, we're not Walmart. You're not going to come in and buy your portraits for $10. They do need to understand our pricing structure. They do need to understand what they're coming into. And I never want to hide pricing ever because, oh my gosh, talk about creating a horrible experience for a client. That's if they come in thinking it's going to be $10 and it's $1,000, you know? So clearly we have to educate them on our pricing. But I hesitate with the word qualify in a way because I'm worried that people think that means on the conversation, you're telling people if you don't spend $4,500, you can't come into my studio. Does that make sense?
They're the same people who are always giving out about not having enough clients.
Yeah, they are. Imagine that.
They are, Jonathan and Jeanine, and they tend to be the people who on their website tell you without having a conversation with them to understand what this client needs, to understand, how you can deliver the value that the client wants, or even trying to price qualify on the website, or even price qualify in their Facebook ad.
Right.
Like no consumer can make that decision, nor will. You put yourself in their shoes as if you're shopping for something. And you see an ad on Facebook and it says, we're not going to even talk to you unless you commit to spending $4,000 with us. Like it's, even the great branded retailers don't do that.
No, they don't.
It stems from I can't go into the detail now, but it stems from a belief that they're selling photography and that people value photography. But in reality, people aren't buying photography, but we can't go into that conversation today. It's a whole
That's
nother
a long
podcast.
Conversation. I really wish we could get across to our listeners and photographers and our members that until someone comes in for an experience, how are they ever and they see the amazing experience you've created them, they see the final result, they see the photographs that you've created and are showing to them. How are they going to know? How are they going to know? And they can get an idea, they can get a sense. Obviously, if someone, and no, you can't even, like Steve and I have had this discussion, you can't assume how people are willing to spend their money. You just can't assume. Because people will pay for what they value. They'll pay for what they value in themselves. They'll pay for what they value in their children. And so we can't judge how people spend their money. And if we start judging how people spend their money, that's when you don't have a lot of
Yeah, and I know I've told this story before, Jeanine and Jonathan, but like many people think that, well, if I have a brand like Louis Vuitton, they buy it because it's Louis Vuitton. No, they don't. Somebody who buys a Louis Vuitton bag don't buy it for Louis Vuitton. They buy it for how it makes them feel. And the message that it allows them send out into the world.
Yep.
The message they can send out to people who are their friends and their family. Because, most people who see you with a Louis Vuitton bag who don't know you don't even notice. So that's the fact. That's, but for some reason we see it and it's everywhere in our industry. I'm a luxury brand. How come people won't commit when they inquire on my website that they'll spend $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10, $11, $12,000 up front? Like it's based on, I have to be careful what I say. It's not based on any proven marketing in any industry anywhere. Anywhere.
Yep. And the fifth stage of awareness, Jeanine, loyal.
Yes. So they always give me this category because this is my love and my passion, my loyal clients, right? So 50 to 60% of my business is repeat and existing clients. And they're already invested in what you do. They've come in for an experience. They know, like, and trust you if you've done your job well and you've delivered on what you have promised. And you go into every session, no matter how much you think they're going to spend with you, as if they're going to spend the top, right? So you've transformed, you've given them a transformational experience. You've given them artwork that they love. You've made a difference in their lives or their children's lives. And now they're going to come back for another experience. but this doesn't just happen by accident, right? You can't just assume, again, that once someone Jonathan came in and he loved his portrait experience. Of course he's going to come back next year. And of course he's going to come back at Christmas. And of course he'll come back. No, people just don't think this way until you train them really, really well. I do have a few clients who I have trained over the years really, really well, and they know what to expect and when to come back. But that happens because I have trained them. So you have to give people a reason to come back. A reason to come back. And it's just not because you have killer service, right? You have to call them again. You have to email them. You have to invite them back to the studio for another reason. Now, chances are that next reason is going to be a different experience than the one that they've had, right? So you have to go through the exact same process with them again. You have to have another discovery call. Maybe you photographed their children the first time. Now you're photographing them with their grandparents. You need to talk to the grandparents. What is this session going to mean to them? What is it that they love about their grandchildren? Why do they want to have these portraits created, right? And so you need to have the same conversation. Let's say they came in for a birthday and now they're coming in for Christmas. You need to talk to them about this Christmas session, right? It's a different type of session. It's a different investment. Let's say it's a boudoir client and they're coming and they came in, and I know Rianne has had this a few times, right? Where they come in one time for their initial building of their confidence type session. And then 2 years later, now they've lost another 50 pounds and they're on top of the world. And now they're boss lady, right? And there's another reason to come back and celebrate that transformation. So there's many reasons why someone can come in, even if it's for the same experience. But they are going to be easier. Let's be honest, right? They've come in, they know you, they like you, they trust you. You don't have to spend money really to market to them again. You do have to pick up the phone. You do have to send nice cards. So you have your postage, right, of mailing thank you cards and birthday cards and things like that. You might have them come to events at the studio, but the cost to book them again is going to be way lower than the cost to book somebody cold off of Facebook, if that makes any sense. And so everyone in their studio should have a mixture of clients that are existing and repeat. And I'll tell you another thing with this whole qualified price thing. If you oversell your client the first time they come in and you hard sell them and you push them and you push them and you try and squeeze every dollar out of them that first time to past the point of comfort, guess what? They're not going to refer you and they're not coming back again because they don't want that part. They could have had the most amazing portrait experience, but the sales process, the purchasing process was so miserable that they'll never come back, right?
And Jeanine, that's something I see a lot. Yeah. I see a lot in our industry of the photographers who claim to have 10,000 plus sales, right? And you actually ask them, so how many of your clients that you have $10,000 sales come back to you? And often the answer is no, right? Now, that may not be because I was a hard-nosed salesperson and I pushed a client to spend more than they wanted to, right? Because we also see the other side of that where we don't give the clients the opportunity to spend what they want to, right? So, it's sort of two different scales. But what it does point out is that, maybe you just don't have a system in place, right, to invite your clients back, like you said, right? But it can only be one of those two things. So if you do have a system to invite clients back and those clients aren't coming back, well, that suggests there's another problem. So what is that problem? Why are these clients not coming back again? And quite often it's because you were a pushy salesperson. I don't know about you guys who are listening, right? But I've been in the scenario of a pushy salesperson in the past, and there's no greater turnoff, right? I've also been in the scenario where I wanted to spend more and somebody tried to stop me spending. Also pissed me off. Right.
Yeah.
So, you've got to be aware of all these things. And there are people who are slick salespeople, who, those people where I've seen them in our industry, where you're on one of their booths, and without you even realizing, the stuff that you touched on the booth is in a bag, and can I have your credit card, please? Do you know what I mean? We've seen it, I've seen it firsthand. So you just have to be careful and understand that, as Jonathan's already said, that Steve says, great clients are made, not found. You are not going to just find great clients who are going to, whether you expect them to spend 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 10,000 plus, who are going to have their first conversation with you expecting that that's what they're going to spend. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, if let me ask you all a question who are on the call. So let's just imagine that you wanted to redecorate a room in your house, right? And let's say you saw an ad for an interior decorator, and that was, you saw their ad and you clicked on the ad, and they said to you, right, just give me $20,000 now, right? And I will absolutely transform the room exactly how you want it. What would you do?
Run away.
Run away,
Yeah.
Exactly. So whether that figure is 20,000 or 10,000 or 3,000 or 2,000, even if it was 2,000, you'd probably run away, right? Unless you'd already, found out that all interior decorators around are $15,000, right? For what you want, right? And even then you'd be going, well, there's no way if everyone else is $15,000 that this person can do it for $2,000, right?
Right.
So you cannot create this qualified lead, this qualified booking without having conversations. And you have to think about having a strategy for where they are in their awareness. When they're not aware, when they're problem aware, when they're solution aware, when they're educated, and when they're loyal.
On that note, to discover how to actually create a sustainable, profitable photography business, all you need to do is join the Inner Circle. So click the link below, join your fellow difference makers inside the Inner Circle, and we will help you to achieve your version of success and to create a successful business that serves your clients. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. See you on the next one.